So, Mike, I was just telling you a little bit about my event that I've got coming up, and I do that, 3 or 4 times a year. I've got a warehouse, slash airport hangar kind of thing out at the Napa Valley Airport. I do a few events out there, but you've got something on a massive scale that you put together out in Washington, D.C. You do that every year.
Right.
And so as far as monetization and monetizing, brand building, do you see that as a part of brand building?
Okay, so there's, as always, there are layers to it. So one is that events and summits can be really highly profitable. That's not why I tend to do these events. So I do multiple events. What I'm doing right now in DC is kind of a social hour. I don't want to call it political because it isn't really political. It's more culture, sort of the intersection of art and film. But if you're political, you can come. But I don't want to hear about why your favorite politician is the greatest guy. And then I hold mindset seminars, which are a way to talk about guerrilla mindset, the concepts of mindset. We do storytelling workshops, all kinds of stuff. So events are, and I wrote a really long article, one of my least read articles, even though it was one of my best in terms of people making money, on how to throw events, and my best advice on events. Events are they're important for a number of reasons. One is they're very lucrative when you have it nailed down. So I can fly to New York, I can give a seminar.
Right.
I'm a full disclosure guy, so I don't really care. I can do a seminar in New York after venue and my flight, walk away with like $5,000, which isn't too bad for seeing people that I want to see anyway, and that I would talk to, in a social setting anyway. Glad to see it. And then if I really want to amp it up and ratchet ticket up, so, people do summits and big ticket events, and $990. Some people charge for tickets. I usually keep mine lower. I just $75, $100. But big ticket events are definitely, they're less of a brand builder and more of a, if you have a brand, it's a phenomenal way to put people in touch with a network. It puts people in touch with it puts people in touch with the knowledge, and a high price tag has a way of screening out people who don't really want to be there. And that's why when I have events and people ask me for free tickets, my answer is, hey man, you can read my blog for free, listen to my podcast for free. I got like 300 videos you can watch for free. You can go read Guerrilla Mindset at a library for free.
Exactly.
Right. But tickets, man, like event, there's venue, there's overhead. So that tells me when people ask for a free ticket to an event, and I don't mean this in a bad way because they just don't know, they're ignorant. It's like, no, dude, I have to pay somebody to have the event. There's a whole overhead and logistics and cost of this. It isn't just a few people hanging at the park playing volleyball. Now, if I do have a cookout, a few people playing volleyball, or the cigar night. Cigar night's $29.
Right.
Come on down, smoke a cigar, relax. But if we're doing a real event, I gotta deliver. People have expectations. I have to perform, and all that stuff costs a lot of money.
And to me, it could not be a better way to truly build, forge a relationship with somebody. Like you said, you can jump out onto YouTube, you can listen to the podcast, you can do all this different stuff, whether it be you or anybody out there, right? But when you actually get face to face with somebody, when you have, a glass of wine with somebody, have dinner, whatever it is, you forge relationships, and there's a chance to do business with that person. There's a chance to, explore multiple opportunities. You just never know where that stuff's going to lead. And that's where I think I get real frustrated with these guys that come in wanting, a free ticket, but can't invest $150 into their own business.
Well, again, they're either not ready and they can't get value is the way I look at it. So there's a lot of ways to look at it. And to me, it's just you don't have the hustle. If you go work a second job, go pick up an Uber, go DoorDash for a couple of weeks, right? When I'm doing a seminar, people go, oh, can I have a free ticket? And I get that people have – I've been in financial binds before too, but then again, I never ask people for free seminars. You can DoorDash. And back when I was broke, there was no gig economy. Now I would just hit up the gig economy. You can go to DoorDash or Uber or something and raise the ticket money. So that tells me you don't really want to work. You just want a free thing. And I found that people who want things for free are actually the least grateful people. And this is a total, it sounds like a cliche. You have to learn it for yourself. I had to learn it for myself. The people who pay the most are the least of a hassle. You and I actually were talking about that before the UCLA screening of my movie Hoax.
We did have that conversation. I remember that now. We were in the car talking about how, you've raised money for something, say on Kickstarter. I don't care what the hell you're doing, whether it be a movie or whether it be, hey, I've got this idea to build a really cool chair, and you got to raise 50 grand. You got one jack off, right, that pays $25 and he emails you 32 times about $25.
Well, and being mean, I got a message where somebody called me a fraud, and I was like taken aback. I'm like, what do you mean? I've posted 40 updates, so that's. Well,
tell me you went and looked. How much did that guy actually?
That's what $2. Literally $2.
$2 Yeah.
And that's been consistent. And then I've had people who have funded things in an enormous manner, and I've emailed them and said, hey, I feel kind of bad. You've given me like too much money. What can I do for you? And they go, oh, no, just keep doing your thing. No big deal. And I almost feel bad. I'm like, well, wait a minute. This guy's giving me like 50 grand for projects and stuff. And
I run a private equity fund, and I can tell you that the units in my private equity fund, each unit is $50,000. I've got people that have a single unit, and then I've got people that have a lot of units. Okay. And I can tell you that universally, the person that complains, emails, wants to check in, wants to know everything about everything is the person that put 50 grand in. And why is that? And this holds true whether it's the $150 guy that is driving Uber that wants the free ticket, or it's the guy that has a $200,000 net worth and buys a $50,000 unit in a private equity fund. It's because they're stretched, they're panicked, okay, and the stress is eating them alive, and they shouldn't be in that situation. But the $2 thing is unbelievable. I mean, I can't even get my head around that, but I will say that it's a universal law that those people that have the lowest contribution are always the biggest pain in the ass.
Well, there's just a chicken and egg thing, right? So I see it both ways. One is that maybe to somebody $2 is like a lot of money, and so maybe that's a lot of money to the person, but if $2 is a lot of money to a person, I'd rather they keep it, right? I would just rather not get it than I don't want to take $2 from somebody. I would feel bad if that's the last $2 they have. I would even feel bad. But generally, just I had another guy send me an angry message, and they're actually counterfactual messages. One person said, you're a fraud, you never updated the project. And then I go, no, I mean, look, I've 42 updates. Oh, well, I have my notifications turned off. Well, okay, well, how about you chill with the language, right? How about, if you're going to call somebody a fraud, to somebody like me, that's a real thing. I get called terrible things all the time on the internet.
Well, you're an attorney, so you know what that means.
I'm like, wait a minute, fraud, like, holy crap. And then I've had people complain and then refunded them, and then they get mad that I refunded them. This has happened over and over, and I realized, okay, you put in $25 so that you could abuse me or something and work out your own issues on me, but here's your money back. Now you don't have any perceived power. And then people get angry at me for refunding them. And I'm like, well, no. Like, I don't have to refund you. I'm going above and beyond. And you're still angry. And then you realize, okay, yeah, they just think that that's their way to buy in. But then the biggest backers of all, they're just like, yeah, man, everything is good. Everything's chill. Same thing when you have events. That's why, again, you don't give free tickets to people. You would think that if you gave somebody, if every lawyer knows, if you do pro bono, those clients aren't grateful for the most part. So you give somebody a free ticket, you're naive and you've never done this. You think that person's going to show up, eager, glad to be there. No. That'll be the first person bashing you on the internet. That'll be the first person on the message boards saying how bad you're. That'll be the worst customer you ever had as a person you give a free ticket to. And I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule, but it's not worth it.
Right. So when you attend an event, now let's say it's not your event, right? And it's not an event that I'm holding or even a close friend of yours, but you attend an event, whether that be in Washington, D.C., whether that be, on Martha's Vineyard, whatever. What kind of value are you typically looking for in that event? Are you looking more for, knowledge? Are you looking more to connect and, forge relationships and potential, financial growth, but potential intellectual growth? What are you trying to extract from an event when you attend it? And what should a young guy be looking for when they go there?
Yeah. What I go for is I go to just see how people do events, how they're structured, how would I organize it. You can learn a lot about it. So, for example, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, and I didn't get – it's a good seminar. I don't want to hate on it. But I didn't get a lot out of it. But I did get the idea that everything is like a branded experience and there's merchandise. Right. So, for example, the first night is the fire walk, which, by the way, I've done it. And I don't – there's scientifically you're not going to burn your feet on the coal. It isn't – but people are afraid of it. So – the value is you're facing your fears. But me, I'm like, no, I mean, I know the coal doesn't conduct heat, so I'm not going to burn my foot unless there's some ember that happens to do it, but you wet your feet before you go on there. So intellectually, it isn't like I'm facing my fears. That isn't right. But for a lot of people, most people are afraid because they don't actually know the science of it. But then what I notice is the firewalk is the first night. The next night, T-shirts, I'm a firewalker. And I go, that's smart. It's like a branded merchandise, and then you see people, wearing their shirts and they're proud of themselves. So I'm not making fun of anybody.
And that's a great Instagram moment too. I mean, think about that. Firewalking, and Karen from Ohio is able to walk across the flames while her husband, videos that, and they throw it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever their social media is.
Yeah, I went pre, but yeah, but the idea is like, okay, there's a merchandise, there's a shirt, there's a Tony Robbins, because you have a captive audience. And the idea is if you throw an event and you have a captive audience, you want to sell your captive audience. Now, the problem I have with a lot of events is they bring in people who I don't think are reputable, and they sell people on things that I don't think they should be sold on. A lot of real estate flipping. Oh, here's no money down. You can go get a house, no money down, sell it for double your money if you give me 10 grand. And it's always a really big ask. So I went to Jordan Belfort's seminar, for example, which was quite good. Jordan Belfort's material is quite good. And then after 3 hours of his stuff, that they come on in with the whole, the real estate thing. Oh, here's how I made $1 million, no money down. And you have to listen to the pitch. And of course, the materials are $5,000, and then they're always upselling you. And Tony Robbins even do that, which is, well, now you attended the event, you need to go to the next event, which is 5,000, or the next event, which is 10,000. You need coaching, and so for me, that's a little too much.
Right.
But that's where I'm at an event. I'm like, okay, I think this is way too much. So when people come to my events, sure, there's going to be, skincare products or whatever that they can buy, but I'm not going to guilt trip people into like a mastermind group and say, if you leave today and you don't join the mastermind, you're saying that you've given up and you don't believe in yourself. And that's the pitch.
Yeah. I attended an event similar to what you mentioned here. It was a flipping event a couple of years ago in Las Vegas. I went with a buddy of mine. We wanted to kind of see how these kind of events are put together. So the first day, they have this big speaker come out. Actually, a very well-known politician comes out. And he does his spiel and rah, rah, everybody's great. They talk about how, all these people are making all this money on flipping. And then at the end of the day, they kind of break you up into groups of 3 or 4, and they want you to learn how to negotiate. So guess how they have you learn how to negotiate?
How's that?
Call your credit card company and see if you can get an increase on your credit limit.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. And then they're going to sell you into that way you can, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So then the following day, guess what? You've got room on your credit card to buy the coaching program that happens to be $22,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how they get people. There's a lot of, so when I attend a seminar, I look at it very much. So for example, here's one thing that is a seminar I believe in, I fully endorse, but here's the manipulation tactics. It's called Mastery and Transformation Technology or something, MITT. And there used to be another name to it that the older people listening would remember. I don't recall what it is. And right when you get in and you start, because it's a 3 or 4 day process, and there's a lot of hokey things in there that you can criticize and whatnot. But when I do an event, I do whatever you tell me to do. If you're saying, okay, jump on, 1 foot and scream that you hate your mom or something, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll immerse myself in that. But
you must have really enjoyed that Tony Robbins event then, because I know they got a lot of that. I've been to one of those too.
Oh my God, yeah, the music, dance like a zombie, and
right.
It's just dumb. Yeah, I've never gone to another Tony Robbins thing after that. It's definitely like the median corporate retreat that's the demographic for the general one. But MITT, what they do is right when you start, they pair you off with sort of like a battle buddy or whatever.
Sure. And
that way, if you leave, you feel guilty that you've left the person that you're working with, you've abandoned them, essentially, right? So
that's
you
smart.
go there, and now you're getting to know this person, and then the first break, and there's no phones allowed and everything, and the first break after 3 hours, people used to not come back, but now there's that social pressure, and then you realize that no matter where you are at the game, you can be manipulated socially. All of us can be manipulated. I knew they were manipulating me, and I still came back because I didn't want to, abandon my whatever battle buddy. And I'm actually glad I didn't leave. It's a great event, and I don't have any financial relationship with them, and I don't even have an affiliate or whatever. Right. But I think it's really transformative for a lot of people. So when I'm there, I'm like, oh, yeah, I know why we're doing this. Because then you're going to guilt trip us into not leaving, and it works. So but I do immerse myself in the exercise. If you tell me to do it, I'll try it. So the Tony Robbins thing, I tried everything, and sure. It just wasn't for me. Just the jumping up and yes, just doesn't do it for me.
And kind of to finalize, this whole event thing, which this is a piece that's interesting, and I think we could probably do a whole episode just on this element that I'm about to describe here. But I'm starting to see a transformation from strictly live events into virtual events. I've got a couple buddies of mine that have like highly specialized knowledge. Like I know a guy who does barbecue, okay? And he has a online group that people pay to be a member of. They can go into this forum, and then he does barbecuing advice. And I think that's a really interesting new concept that's coming on as a way to monetize and have residual long-term income. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something we should maybe explore in another episode in depth. But I really like this idea, and I'm really hot on this idea right now of these virtual events or virtual groups, if you will. As a way for somebody to monetize a highly specialized skill or a really unique, behind the scenes type, atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, events. I'm pro events. I throw I don't know, 5 to 10 a year. Last year I did. Last year I probably did, I don't know, 8 or 9 events. I did a really big sort of cultural event, another really big cultural event, 3 or 4 mindset seminars, another premieres for my. So yeah, I'm a huge believer in events. I love doing them, and I think people should go to events because there's a screening. The reason you go to events and the reason you charge a certain thing is it's like a screening mechanism. So everybody in the room has a similar goal, similar mindset, and you've now filtered out 100 people out of 1 in 100 maybe care about themselves enough to really take action, right? Maybe 1 in 100.
And it helps build your tribe, right? I mean, if you're really assembling a certain tribe or a certain type of brand, you can really forge that, a steely resolve, if you will, or a mega fan inside a live event. So I think it's really critical for guys that are trying to come up and build their own brands to try to get together. It doesn't have to be a big fancy event. I mean, it could be a happy hour, 2-hour deal where they get the back room at the local bar too.
Well, sure. I started off doing happy hours when I had just a smaller blog, and my happy hour in San Diego, 4 people showed up. My happy hour in DC, I don't know, 8 people showed up, 10 people, something like that. My happy hour in New York, 40 people showed up, and yes, then they got bigger. So no, I've been holding happy hours forever. And then the people that I met at some of those things were the kind of the OGs, and they moved on to really amazing things and really high levels of the world. And I met them at the early ones, and now it would be kind of hard. Now it's harder to meet people like that and that is why ticket prices do go up. So there's a reason that if you're on the other end of paying the ticket, maybe you don't get it. There's a reason, though. I went from a free happy hour to now a private dinner with me is like $1,000, right? Well, it isn't that I'm like Mr. Big Shot or whatever, but if I had a free dinner, there's going to be 200 people there at least. God knows how many. You couldn't even talk to people. Can't even filter out who's who. And with the private, the VIP dinners kind of things, then you can. It's a filter, right? Everybody in there is at a certain level where they can get the most amount of value from it. But then that's what too. I always have the low cost cigar nights, right? $30. But you gotta buy a ticket fast. If you're, people email me the day of, oh, can I get in? No, you can't get in.
Yeah, that was sold out 6 weeks ago.
You're too indecisive. Yeah, it's $30, man.
But there really is, at least for me, from how I approach these events, I find that just the ability to get face to face with somebody and, you do build a relationship with people. A guy that I met at a recent cigar event that was held in Orange County, this guy ended up being on the front page of the USA Today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mentioned that today as one we had a cigar night, 40 people, and earlier today, one guy was on the cover of the not the cover of the New York Post, but featured in the New York Post. Another guy was on the front page of USA Today. And just small groups, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's really amazing the kind of relationships that you can forge from those events. And, so I think for the young guys out there, it's really important to realize that it's not just a monetization method, but it gets you in the room with some people that you probably wouldn't be able to get in the room with otherwise, and take advantage of that. And if you can get in the room for, like you said, $29, $100, $300, you make one connection there, it may very well change your life. And so it's one of the best investments, and I can tell any entrepreneur at any age, make that investment, get in front of those people that are in your space or in your world that you want in your world, and it does help you level up your network too. So anyway,
people should be going to, people should be, so there's, again, people should be going to events. Get out of their houses. That's to me so far, and that's another reason I have a higher ticket price. I'm so far out of the market of people who need encouragement to leave their houses. I'm so far, thank God for that, so far removed from just the idea that, like, hey, get out of bed, save up your money, figure out how to get $75, get out of bed, come to a 3 or 4 hour seminar, right? I'm so far beyond pre-selling. Thank God for that. Yeah, just the idea that, because a lot of people have to be really sold on the idea of coming to a seminar. And in fairness, if I held really big events, then I would have to badger people more. But I like to keep mine smaller so we can do real workshops.
Yeah.
So I like to do 2,500 max. I had one that is 150, and that was like too much for me. And that's no advertising or anything. So I like to do. So when we go really deep, I do usually $149 to $199 because I only want to do 25, 30 people.
And this is on your guerrilla mindset.
The storytelling stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that isn't in guerrilla mindset that we do. We have a storytelling seminar that I do, which is very transformative in people, rewriting your story. Story. And then I have the guerrilla mindset seminar, and then I have one which is kind of a mindset seminar folded in with spoken word. And then that's a little, I'll have a bigger room for that. But I generally don't. But if I wanted to sell 5,000 tickets, I would have to really go into the why you need to buy events, right?
Well, then you have to have the guys that are doing some cold calling and pushing ticket sales, etc. When you get into that kind of scale. Yeah, because Grant Cardone does that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. He's got the whole baseball stadium that he just did down in Miami, and you got to get guys on the phone selling tickets if you're going to do an event like that, no matter what your name is. Oh, and you got to buy Facebook ads, the 10X Your Life and right.
So I'm not saying that I'm so big time I don't have to advertise it, but to do what I need to do, I don't need to pre-sell guys. I just say, okay, I'm going to have a seminar.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be, and then rather than sell people on why they should attend an event, I just remind them a couple times because, with social media algorithms, you don't.
Well, you're really good with the email. You've got a really good, robust email program that you utilize that, I don't know, years ago I got on your email list, and I don't think I've ever been able to get off the thing. So, good for you, right? And, you bang out.
Not to, I don't want to interrupt, but I don't want to forget this either. And you can riff off this, but that's another reason to have events. You know right away, these are people who've been to an event that's a good person, because if they show up and they're a bad person, you make sure you blacklist them from all your stuff. So you now have essentially pre-screened good people. So then when you do want to have a smaller event, you have that email list. That's another great reason to have events.
Hey, for everybody out there, that is a fucking golden nugget right there. That's probably worth its weight in gold, what Mike just said here. Being able to pre-screen at a smaller event, right, Mike, where you're pulling in those email addresses, but you're also getting to meet these people face to face. Because let's face it, you get into any room, I don't care if it's a classroom, college classroom, 40 people, there's always one nut job in there. Never fails, right?
Right.
And so your system here, you can take that guy or gal off your upsell system and kind of weed them out.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I have a list of people who just, when they try to buy a ticket, I wait until before the event and then I refund the ticket. That way they don't get any of the venue information or anything. Like, there's a list of people that are just, the vibe isn't right.
Right.
And I have the right to do that. That's another beauty of the way I run things. Yeah. I don't need to take everybody who walks in the door. And in fact, the people who do come into the door, I want to make sure that they're surrounded by the right people. So if I get a bad vibe or somebody's a little negative, there's 1,000 people lining up to have you come to their event. So they'll buy a ticket, and then rather than refund it right away, because then there'll be all this like drama, I just set a little alert, and then before the final event details go out, I always make sure I just refund them.
You know, and let me share this too with some folks out there, that the luxury, if you will, of being a little bit more advanced in your career and having some money is you can kind of do events and do things that you really enjoy doing. I mean, for myself personally, the only event that I do throughout the year is this whiskey talk event. That's it. That's the only one I do. And I do it because I get to sit down in the room, you know, with 30 people. We drink some whiskey, we smoke some cigars. You know, I've got this really great venue to have it. We have live music. It's not a cheap ticket. Usually my events are $150 to $350, but it's a group of guys that I know, and then there's usually about 15 or 20 people that are kind of new to the fold. And I limit it to that, and I've got the luxury to be able to do that. But as a successful entrepreneur, and as you grow your business, you can really pick and choose what kind of events you want to do, and do stuff that really enhances your life, not just trying to grind away at business all the time too.
Sure. It's another stream of revenue. So my event business is just another. So the cigar nights I don't make any money on. We just break even, thanks to you and some other people. We end up breaking even. We subsidize the because $30 isn't paying. $30 includes a premium cigar. It isn't paying the bills.
Right.
But that's sort of like the entry point, and then events are just another source of income. And that's why a lot of people go, oh, I don't want to have an event, because you think you have to have 1,000 people show up. But, you know, if you get 25 people show up, $100 each, that's $2,500. Venues, you know, there's all the Airbnb kind of places where you can rent venues for, venues $500. You know, you're going to walk away with $2,000 maybe.
Yeah, and there's whole lifestyle events out there as well. I mean, some of these guys are working so hard that they're putting together these lifestyle events where it's like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to go. But like you said, they rent out an Airbnb. It's got 4, you know, Sea-Doos behind the thing. They charter a boat and go fishing, you know, and so it's a experience and a lifestyle thing as much as it is just a, you know, business event or something. So there are these lifestyle, like ultra luxury lifestyle events too, which are interesting concept that you're seeing a lot of right now.
Oh yeah, so that's a different thing. Like so my Guerrilla Mindset Network is $5,000 a year, and that includes, you know, one kind of thing. We're gonna maybe go to Joshua Tree or something. That which is and by the way, that's a good deal, and that's different though. Yeah, so there are different layers. So
right.
So I'm speaking, I guess, towards maybe small people who, you know, you got a blog, you got a YouTube, you know, you could throw an event. Don't be mad only 10 people show up, only 10 people, right? Just adjust the budget accordingly. Keep costs down. If you do an event and you walk away with $1,000 and you do 3 or 4 of those a year, well, that's another source of income. All these people, then this is what kills me. And also because they've been lied to. Everybody has I have an 8-figure drop shipping e-commerce store, right? Everybody has one of those these days. Just like everybody deadlifts 500 pounds and date supermodels and everything. So in a lot of ways they've been lied to. But if you have a blog or something and you do, you know, 3-4 events a year, you make a few grand, that's a source of income. And then the smaller events, you're always going to have people who want to do one-on-one coaching, which I personally don't do any of that anymore, other than people who are on the network.
Right.
If I do an event and the event is, say, you know, $99 a ticket, 100 people show up, 10 people are going to want to do a follow-up call, which when I did them, that was like, I don't know, $4.99 or something.
Sure.
And then if you want to do more, it's another way to pipeline into other businesses. So they all build on each other. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's a critical component of anybody brand building. And to jump back to your whole selling stuff on Amazon and all that, I want to tell folks that one of the sure indicators that this stuff is about over or about to jump the shark is when you turn on Facebook or Instagram and you're seeing ads over and over again for some guy that wants to, standing in front of the Lamborghini that wants to show you how he's got his 2 comma Amazon business. So we're seeing a lot of that right now, and I don't think there's as many people doing those kind of numbers as what you would think.
No, I get solicited all the time, and everybody has an Amazon store, and it's like magic, and everybody has sold $1 million on Facebook. It's always $1 million, right?
Right.
It's always $1 million. Always sold $1 million on Facebook. Like, okay, then why are you soliciting me personally? If you're selling $1 million on Facebook, you're not going to be hitting me up. You have a team to do that. Right? These people.
Right, and you're going to be scaling that to 10 million and then 20 million. And then you're probably going to be selling me a $5,000 weekend lifestyle experience event, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're such little liars, because if you've been around long enough, you know that if you're really running $1 million company, you're not messaging me trying to sell me on whatever consulting thing you're doing.
Exactly.
Right? You don't have the time to do that, or you would be offering equity. You wouldn't be you would be saying, okay, here's what I can do for you. I want half. Right? That's the way people do things.
Well, right. Bring in, 2.3 million. We're going to scale this thing up. We're going to open up a plant in China, and we're going to start pumping out these dog toys or whatever, the product is.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so, but if you're younger, you don't know any better, and then you're going to spend way too much money on things that don't work, and that's life, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I love this this discussion on events. It's interesting. You got anything to add to that before we sign off?
No, do them. If you have an audience, do them. Don't be insecure because you don't think there's enough people. You'll meet the best people at them. And if you're a person, man, save your nickels and dimes. Drive an Uber.
Yeah, and I would say that it's a great way to meet some of your raving fans and build a fan base is by doing these events. And it is a great way to get out there. If it's not your event, spend the money to go to somebody else's event and meet some people outside of your network and expand your network, because that truly is how you're going to expand your net worth.
Absolutely, man. Good talking to you as always.
Yeah, you too.